Good evening, Plexers. So 2 videos in the same night. This one goes out to Jesse in the Plexaholics Facebook group who was wondering how to use Handbrake. He did a few videos, converted a few videos, and they were all, well, I assume 480p, he says 420p. So I've got a public domain video, Big Buck Bunny, it's a 4K. It's been renamed with filbot, so it has my typical media characteristics. So we see it's a 2160p, it's an X264 codec, 6 channels, and it's FLAC audio. And it's got the TMDB ID number in the file name. So I have Handbrake open. This is Pop! OS. It's based on Ubuntu. It's a free install from the App Store. And Handbrake should be the same under Windows or Mac OS too. So I'm just going to drag it over and drop it. We'll make it full screen. And the preset's right here. So what I want to do is I want to use hardware because I have an NVIDIA 3060 card and an iGPU. This is a 12th gen i9 processor on this desktop. So I can click here, and my preference would be to use the H.265 NVENC 1080p option. So you're just not done here. So if you go to video, you could change the encoder to H.264 if you want, but I'll leave it H.265. The audio, you'll see that this FLAC that's 5.1 at 48 kilohertz is being converted to AAC in stereo. So I would want to, let's see, if I double click on it, I can adapt this. I can leave it at 5.1 by making that change. And I can keep it AAC if I want. That would be compatible. Or I could choose other codecs like AC3 or EAC. So I'll leave it at AAC. And I'll leave the bit rate the same. But I could adjust that manually too. So I'll save that. And then you'd want to check for subtitles. And there's none here. So you could double click on the subtitle to make adjustments too. So now that that's all set, it's going to save to my default videos folder, and this will be the name. But let's change this to 265, and it's not going to be FLAC anymore. So let me just get rid of that, and I can rename it afterwards with filebot. It's actually not going to be 2160p either. So we'll change that to 1080p. And if I hit start, a small file like this should not take that long. So, can I come up with enough to talk about while this is going on? It's a 2-minute process. And this is going to be the faster option if you have the compatible hardware. It's basically like hardware acceleration under Plex. Super fast and efficient off an NVIDIA GPU or an Intel iGPU, and slow as molasses off the CPU itself. So the faster your CPU is, the quicker it'll be. But even my 12th gen i9 will not beat the NVIDIA card or the iGPU built into the Intel chip. All right, so we're about 37%. I can't think of anything else to say, so I'll pause the video and jump back when it's almost done. Okay, we're about 86%. It'll be done in a few seconds. And I guess I'll show filebot renaming this also. All right, so I can put down my cocktail. The one item has finished encoding. So let me go to this folder and we'll see it right here. So let me take this someplace else. Let's go to this folder, and I'll just start here. So I'll minimize Handbrake, and let me just start up filbot manually. So I'll drag this in, and my custom expression will rename it like this. It's going to create the folder with the TMDB source ID, and then it will rename the file, add the TMDB source ID, and add in this information. HEVC is synonymous with H.265, 6-channel audio AAC. So filbot has a default movie expression that I can only get to if I hold down the shift key because I've got custom ones. But organized movies for Plex is similar, but it's going to create a folder called media and then a subfolder called movies to then create this movie folder with a TMDB source ID just like my expression, but then name the file very simply without the extra media characteristics that I use. So let's go back to my expression and get that renamed. And here you see it, and it's 449.9 megabits compared to 892.9 megabits. So it's about half the size to be compressed under the HEVC at the lower resolution from the H.264 original file. So let's bring Handbrake back up. If you don't have the iGPU or the GPU to use, you'd have to choose, I would say probably general or professional. No, I guess not professional. Use the general option, and you can pick one of the 1080p options. I don't really use any of this because I've got the hardware to use instead. But let's just try fast 1080p 30 frames per second. And we'll just rename this one simply this time. And we'll hit start. So this will be about the end of the video. I just want to see what the estimate is to do a software transcode off my 12th gen i9 processor. And again, it's a short video, but you see it's about 4 minutes and 20 seconds versus only a couple minutes. So I'm cutting that conversion time in half by using the fabulous 3060 GeForce 3060 NVIDIA card that I have in the system that has 12 gigabytes of RAM. So if you want to hardware convert it, it takes the hardware to do it, but that's the fastest conversions. So Jesse, I hope that helps you, and let me know what type of a GPU or iGPU you have available to do a hardware conversion. Thanks for watching. Happy Plexing.